that the carry and the 1-1 has been banned, we would expect that the Matrix will be one of the priorities for both these teams.
Yes, well mentioned there, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to go into the drafting phase right now. Personally, I always believe 75% of the fights are won in the drafting phase. It's about picking up the right tools for the right job. And right now, both of these two teams, they need to try to ban away what is required and that the tools they do not want to see on stage.
You can already see the respect, right?
Yeah.
I mean, when we watched the upper brackets, we saw that in game one, a lot of the teams, they opt to go just for the regular bans, the prio bans, read out your opponents. But now in the lower brackets, it's a best of three, not a best of five.
Yeah.
You can't risk losing that first game, especially considering that, you know, for both of these teams, momentum is very,
100%.
very important. So Lolita ban, the glue ban that we mentioned earlier, but now it does leave S11 Gaming with the first pick. And honestly, they can go for a lot of different heroes here.
Kaja,
Yves.
Yves is also there. Knowing S11 though, they have now picked Kaja, but they did pick up Fredrin as well as the... not actually, they didn't pick Eve. They only picked Eve 1, so this might be not the priority.
Yeah, you're mentioning it. The first pick a Benedetta, but once again, the best part about a first pick, you can pick a Kaja, you can go for the Fredrin. You want to surprise your opponent with these flex picks. However, a Benedetta, technically a flex, could mostly go into the XP lane. In some rare cases, in certain parts of the meta, you can bring it to the jungle.
This will be the first time that S11 will actually deploy the Benedetta. That's why I'm surprised about it. They did ban out the Lolita, which is also twice picked by RSG out of their 3 games. Now, I would expect that the answer for RSG might be somewhere along the lines of Eve and Claude, or like Eve and Beatrix, together with maybe Fredrin also as a choice. Diablo finished second in the MPL SG Seasons 1 and 2, and finally won the champ in Season 4 with the Finals MVP award.
Okay, big news right here, ladies and gents. MPL Singapore, Lozy is very, very comfortable with this show. I would argue it is one of his signature picks back at home. But apart from that, the Martyrs is also picked up by the side of RSG, something that Bray has used in other world stages. However, is that what I heard, Wolf?
Oh man, we didn't see the Eve along the group stages, but now, like we mentioned, right? Maybe S11, after losing the 2 games, or just the first game against the Valley, they started to just hide their strategies. Now that's finally coming out again in the lower brackets. We didn't get to see the Eve. For the mid lane, it does feel like they have gone for more of these aggressive kind of mid laners like the Kadira, but now with Eve in their hands, they're going to be able to control that mid lane really well, put some pressure down, and the poking and utility coming in from this pick is going to be massive, especially up against the Cho and the Martis that we mentioned earlier. That is going to be quite a threat, right? To end up the drafts. They pick up a Lilia, which is a pick that we haven't seen a lot here at M4.
Yeah, and Burko and Wolf, just to let you know, this is basically comfort zone for RSG. Fire on the Lilia, Lozy on that Cho, Bray on that Martyrs. These 3 heroes. Technically, RSG is just showing, hey, this is what we're going to do. We're going to burst you down very quickly, create this zone of area of denial. And then, you know, the Martyrs could come in, use the fact that I'm immune to all the CCs. I'm going to try to take away these neutral objectives. On the other hand, S11 Gaming, I feel like their team, both, correct me if I'm wrong, it feels like it's very team fight based.
Yeah, they definitely want a team fight as well as punish whoever is in front. Which, if you think about it, looking at the composition of S11, they want to utilize this Grok at the front lines, and then they kind of connected together, so they want to combo their World Charge into the real world manipulation, and this makes the Lilia pick so much more stronger. Also, they want to have a lot of laning presence. Lilia is one of the best laning mages out there. Martis is going to be one of the, I would say, faster junglers, if you think about it. And of course, the Cho can make the early plays, which kind of tells me that RSG SG, just like how they faced Occupy Thrones, they want to finish this fast.
Yes, they want to finish this fast. Most of these heroes that they pick currently, Power Spike at level 4. Well, technically, except for Lilia, Power Spike at level 1, because you can just shove your lane and then provide support from the rest of the sides. Apart from that, I'm looking at a lot of marksman bans. Take a look. RSG has already taken away my favorite Leslie, and S11 bans away the clock. Another thing I played.
Oh man, and on top of that, you already have the 1-1 that was banned earlier and the
that's
carry,
your favorite.
right? My favorite too coming out. So there's already 4 marksman bans in total here by both of the teams. RSG banning 2, S11 banning 2. This leaves open just a few other marksmen that's been really showing up in M4.
Yep.
You know, this is weird. Harith. It's non-marksmen that are actually now up for grabs
That's
for both
right.
S11 and RSG. But
Yeah.
from S11, it does feel like they have a little bit more to play with.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Baby Cakes, I think if S11 goes for the Beatrix ban, we're going to really see Baby Cakes struggle in the gold lane. He banned out the Irithel, a pick that I was about to save for Kai that has worked for him.
Well, it will definitely work for S11, but at the same time, RSG wants to take that as well. I'm really curious on what they will choose now. Maybe they will go back to the Harith, but that means that they will have an overload when it comes to the magic damage and maybe some true damage, but they will lack in physical. I'm sure that the Martes will not build up damage, want to build up sustain, so that might be a problem now for RSG Singapore. That's why I really find this very confusing and why they opted to go for the ban on the Earthel. Maybe they are interested in taking the Beatrix instead.
Maybe they might just want to actually, like, for S11, looking at that, it's time to ban the Beatrix, right? You know exactly what RSG are going for.
Yeah, but I mean, if you are RSG, during the group stages, Baby Cakes has pulled out a lot of Beatrixes. Baby Cakes, his prime, trademark is that he likes to go towards these late game marksmen, right? He likes to play safe. Well, technically, a Beatrix could play it safe with the Renner shots, but I feel like Beatrix is not really his comfort. He's better at, the 1-1 when he was superior in the MPL SG stage, but now it is the bans going in to be locked in by the side of S11. It is going to be banning out the Lapu Lapu.
I think at this time, right, at this point, if you're RSG, you really need to get that gold laner onto your hands.
Yes.
Because it's going to be really risky to let this go, considering that, again, yes, Baby Cakes likes to carry into that late stage. They go for the Beatrix here, and it just, it has to be, right? With all these gold lane bans, it's just very, very evident that they need to pick this up. But now for S11, looking at their bans, it does feel like they want to play into this. They wanted Baby Cakes to pick up that Beatrix. Why? That's the main question I have in my head right now.
Maybe they want to go for the Yuzhong, but they already have the Benedetta. They need to find someone that can dive through the Beatrix as well as output the damage to kind of burst down this Lilia, because you don't want this Lilia to have a chance to reset the stacks and reset his charges of the Glooms, right? So you want to find an XP laner or maybe a jungler that can burst together with a marksman, maybe a Clint or a Harith. That's the only 2 heroes that I can think about. Maybe Brody if you're thinking about burst.
Oh, well, they go for a
Not only
Granger.
does that, Mercon Wolf will be seeing another Granger match. I believe he's only picked once, and I think it's also by S11.
Falcon.
A Falcon,
It
right?
was Falcon.
Taking a leave from another team. They are adapting, and this is exactly what we want to see on a world stage.
I love it.
Love it, but then again, it exposes like the Yuzhong pick, for example, for RSG Singapore, because now you have a anti-marksman composition. You have burst with a Lilia, burst with the Beatrix. I think it's telegraphed. The way that this happened for the side of S11, they banned out Lapu Lapu. Surely that's a anti-marksman, anti-Eve, but that left open the Yuzhong, and they kind of exposed their draft. The way that I see this is they picked up the Brody and the Granger because we were looking for burst, right? You want to take down the Lilia as soon as possible, and that fits the bill. However, that opened their draft to a Yuzhong answer, which is now all of a sudden a very valuable pick.
That back line is going to be very, very vulnerable to the engage from, like you mentioned, the Yuzhong, but on top of that, the Cho, and even to a certain extent, the Martis and Lilia. Remember, this is such a dynamic draft from RSG that can dive to the back line, but can also play it front to back. That's what S11 needs to get under their win condition, right? They need to understand that before they get into game and before they head on for these skirmishes, especially early game, where the Granger is very susceptible to those ganks.
All right, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, the first match of the day, it is RSG going up against S11. This is a best of 3. Loser will need to go home.
It's gonna be about the burst potential coming out from S11, the way that they should be comboing up their 2 marksmen. But for the side of RSG Singapore, if they play this correctly, if they play team fight, play objectively, it will be an easier game for them, at least in execution. But of course, execution is different,
You can already see early on how they've opted to actually play out the lanes here is with a leash, right? The Brody helping out the Granger, and also on top of that, Erwin was actually able to just buy some time in the gold lane by putting the wall down, but it does seem like right now it is RSG who are pushing the pace. With 505 and Bray already in an enemy jungle, this is what you need to do up against something like a Granger.
Yeah, Lozy really need to use the fact that the Cho could be very annoying against the enemy jungle, but Erwin on the other hand, as that Grok could be annoying as well. The first skill does a lot of damage, so it's up to RSG to make sure that Bray gets to level 4 untouched. Once he unlocks the decimation, start going for this early, turtle objective. We saw in the team head-to-head earlier, right, Wolf? The fact that RSG really prioritized these neutral objectives very quickly. However, S11 though, they are bloodthirsty.
I'm gonna be feeling it for RSG Singapore. They need to make Lilia reach level 4 as soon as possible, the first turtle fight, which kind of tells me that S11 might consider getting Erwin to his ultimate fast. So maybe they put him in the mid lane and then put the Eve in the top lane so that they will have 2 ultimates available, the real world manipulation as well as the wild charge. That is their key if they do want to contest the first turtle.
Yeah, but Wolf, I feel like right now, if you notice the rotation of S11, Kai is trying to walk towards the turtle. Baby Cakes, on the other hand, being the late game marksman, would love to stay in lane. But now RSG, S11, they're actually gearing up for the fight right here. Look at that, Bray's already on that turtle for now.
Jotun finally getting that level 4, has the ultimate, but Bray and Lolzy are controlling it. Lolzy jumping in, that's going to be the final blow to the back line. Is Papadog's going to be able to find that, but the Petrify connects by Diablo onto Jotun, who's still committing onto the turtle. That was reset perfectly by RSG. S11 still going at it. They want to look for it. The steal will not come down for Papadog as Lolzy is able to use the Way of the Dragon to zone Papadog away.
Wolf, do you see that? I thought it was like, what? They're putting so much damage on top of the turtle, but the turtle somehow just doesn't refuses to die. It's like an Estes healing that turtle. Do you see that?
Yeah, I did see that. And whoever made that play, I don't know if it's intended, like crazy amount of like planning for that one, or maybe it's just happenstance, but either way, it worked in favor of RSG Singapore, who had the better experience. Now, I'm not talking about like actual experience, I'm talking about in-game experience, where Lolzy already had his ultimate up, he had the flicker, he didn't manage to land it on a good hero, but then again, they still managed to get their position and set a territory around the turtle area. Unfortunately for S11, they had to use Jotun in the mid lane, the jungler, so that he'll get to his ultimate. And that meant that Erwin will not have his. They didn't have wild charge in that team fight.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that could have went wrong for S11 went wrong. RSG already just somehow did that weird turtle reset, and they've also got their items in. Just now I saw Baby Cakes already slowly waiting towards, oh, Diablo.
2v1, able to find a trade, but Jotun gets the kill back on top. He doesn't go for the turret gold up in the XP lane, however, which is very, very interesting here. Still respecting the other RSG members. They're not visible on the map, but let's take a look at the emblems now.
Yeah. Surprised to see a Weapon Master for the Brody, because typically you want to go for a killing spree.
Yeah.
But I guess they want to just take over the early game as soon as possible, which kind of, it kind of speeds up your damage output if you're the Brody. And they do want to go for the burst. That's what we're talking about. That's probably why they chose the Weapon Master over anything else.
Yeah, correct. I feel like the Granger already has that big burst. That's why you give the killing spree over to the Granger, the Weapon Mastery over to that Brody. The Brody, technically speaking, it's like a, this is not a short-term plan that S11 wants that Brody. Kai needs to go for that mile. He's constantly landing down those auto attacks as the second turtle has spawned.
With the second turtle, it comes down again to that control. And in the mid lane so far, it has been RSG. But right now in the 4th minute, S11 have actually been able to clear the mid lane first. But you can see the adaptation from RSG. Amazing turtle reset towards their side. As now, the mini waves are going to be crashing again into the mid lane. Erwin still in the front, getting the wall down as Papadog jumps in, but is going to be cancelled out as that's going to be Chan who picks up the turtle. Bray going to be caught. That's a lot of damage. The Torrent Pop Memory finishes him off as Lolzy tries to run away, but Kai is going to be able to take the damage down, to pick the double kill up, and to equalize and take the lead back for Argentina.
S11 literally stabilized a very dire early game. Now RSG on the back foot right here. Look at how S11 is actually punishing Baby Cakes. Real manipulation, oh no, it doesn't connect on top of Baby Cakes.
Unfortunately for RSG Singapore, they weren't able to utilize their biggest team fight ultimate, which is the Dragon Force coming out from Diablo. That's why S11 found a big opening, and they can burst the turtle so easily because of their double marksman setup. Well, because of the Brody's damage and the Weapon Master, you saw him critting over 1,000 damage onto the turtle. And of course, Jotun being a Granger can really burst that turtle down so easily. And that's why S11 was able to just establish territory this time. A great recovery from the Argentinian squad.
Ice Queen 1 already built for the side of Chen. We notice Jotun has already started to take more resources away from RSG. Bray has already completed Hunter Strike, so that could be a pulse fight. He needs to try to play around that. Unfortunately, S11, Jotun is a Granger. The early game, aggression that S11, they're looking for the kills, they're looking for these small little objectives, and they're looking really good.
What is that stat line? Well, remember, S11 only won 1 game in the groups, and Kai has only suffered 2 deaths this M4. That's insane.
That is insane. To think that they are losing the games and they're actually playing like long games as well, like 14, the north of 14 and 15 minutes. And
aggressive comps.
Aggressive comps. This is amazing. Very impressive coming out from Kai, and never doubt his choices now. Brody is proving to be a good pick for S11.
Yeah, but Chen, I think, going down this real world manipulation super early on, that big team fight ultimate is going to go on cooldown, especially when the third turtle, the last turtle, that will spawn very quickly. RG, on the other hand, they're desperately trying to shove that way, but Chen, using that real world manipulation, cleared it off, leaving File 5 with only a bit of HP left.
Well, we'll see. Once again here with the mid lane control, S11 have the priority on the turtle. Lolzy trying to find an opening here as he pops the conceal, but it's going to be cancelled out. Lolzy going to be able to find the flicker, but it's going to be stunned up now. That's the retribution by Bray. Jotun going to be caught. Has a detonata, but it's going to fall towards Diablo, who's able to dive into the back line. Bray with a decimation 2 finds another, and it's a 2-for-1. It's only the roamer falling for RSG, and they've taken a turtle.
Good news over the side for RSG. Don't forget, they enter the team fight of 4 versus 5. It is File 5 that need forced to go back and reset. However, because S11, they don't have the real world manipulation, opting to use it to clear the waves right off the bat. They don't have that big mega control. And don't forget, Lolzy coming in at a nice angle right there, Wolf. Going in, knock up 3, that is good enough.
I definitely want to attribute that to the experience that RSG has outside of the game, because that was wonderful positioning from Lolzy.
Uh-oh, 505 going to be caught here. Doesn't have the black shoes to get out. A good snipe by Baby Cakes, but Kai, again, going to be able to find that kill. Baby Cakes with one more hit. Kai's going to be punished, overstayed just a bit. And Baby Cakes, when you give it an inch, he takes a mile. That's Kai's 3rd death in this tournament.
That's exactly what we want to see from Baby Cakes, right? B-Trix finally popping off. I'm really happy for him. But don't forget, he's also playing with somewhat of a disadvantage. He is not on stage right now, unfortunately, but he will be playing from the hotel because of COVID.
Yeah, what we saw from back-to-back instances where RSG won is the difference between the experience of the 2 teams. The first fight is Lolzy as well as Diablo made the S11 panic, and you see Jotun just desperately try to secure that turtle. Unfortunately, they didn't have the advantage. And afterwards, you saw Kai. He was so desperate into clearing that wave that he sacrificed his life. In exchange for 1 cart, 1 cannon, he lost his life and claimed his 3rd death.
Yeah, we've seen how damaging 1 auto attack is. Now we've seen how damaging 1 siege minion is right now. Now the map state a little bit reset, just taking a look at the kill lead, 5v5. In terms of gold lead, not too far apart, but the first lot has spawned.
I think for me, S11, right? The main mistake that they've been doing right now is they're not utilizing the early lead that Kai has. Baby Cakes has equalized and at this point is actually ahead of Kai. That's going to be Lolzy who finds the way the dragon with the GQ no flicker. Everyone's going to fall. The Torn Part memory is going to be able to punish 1 member down. Diablo's going to dash. He gets the petrify. Also 2 members. Zones the back line. Meanwhile, Kai and Papa Dog able to find a double kill. Jotun still trying to find Diablo right now as the other members comes in as well. Diablo going to fall. It's a 3-for-2 for the Argentinians. And just like you mentioned, Jace, the Lord is up.
S11, this is the time for them to try to take the 1 Lord away. That is a neutral objective that they don't usually prioritize, and now they're learning, they're adapting. RG, on the other hand, they fall a little bit too far. It is Diablo that overextended a little bit too far, and I have to admit, S11 using Kai and also Papa Dog to zone out the rest of RSG, that's insane, as S11 took this Lord uncontested.
That is the skirmish that I call exchange of prisoners, wherein you kind of trade your XP laners. the opposing explainers goes for your backlines and your explainer goes to the opposing backlines. Unfortunately for RSG Singapore, after the fact that the Dragon Form is over, you don't have that teamfight integrity anymore. Whereas if you're looking for the Benedetta, there's infinite amount of damage you can get. And S11 just won that skirmish because they have the better firepower or more sustainable firepower compared to RSG Singapore.
Just now when the item was showing Kai is BOD, Legion, anything that has like, that gives you attack damage, he's already have it. This Weapon Master, S11, Kai needs to be respected. Just take a look at how fast he's just dismantling RSG one by one in terms of these turrets. It's looking very bleak for RSG.
It just, as I said, right, I felt like Kai wasn't utilizing the early lead, and just right there, he pops it, has the mid-game power spike, he goes in with the team, and that's what they need to do. Bray is going to be actually taken low here with the real world inflation, and the Death Sonata that's going to be able to fight it. Erwin flickering forward to find a wild charge, as Lolzy falls as well. Diablo has the Petrify, gets Jotun up, but Kai in the back line is going to be able to free hit. Baby Cake's going to lose a lot of HP, but Kai's going to be able to flicker out. Winner nature by Baby Cakes. Papa Dog diving in, again, dealing a lot of damage, but it's not going to be enough to take the rest of the RSG members down. It's a 2 for 2, but the Lord is munching on the turret. Meanwhile, Papa Dog gets the tier 2 down in the mid lane, and RSG are still going to be able to defend for the base turrets.
Wonderful defense coming up from RSG Singapore if you think about it. However, S11 just found the opening. I think this is because of Papa Dog's initiation from the backlines. And this is not the first time that Papa Dog has impressed us. Even Mirko casted them outside of M4, and he's already making wonders. I think he learned a lot from that tournament, and now he's flexing it all over RSG Singapore.
Yeah, Brute Force breastplate already being built by the side of the Jotun. That's why Diablo is unable to find the target to burst him down quickly before he could do any collateral damage. The fact that, you know, Chan land down the real world manipulation catching 2, that's technically a big stun. It allows Jotun just land down the Death Sonata, but however the kick, wrong side. Lolzy will be able to shove Papa Dog away, but wait, Erwin's at the back line.
It's a misplay here by both Lolzy and Erwin, but it's Erwin who gets punished down. Jotun looking for a play, that's the real world manipulation. Locking Baby Cakes down as the Death Sonata comes down as well. Baby Cakes flickering out and getting back to safety. Man, it was just out of vision. Lolzy wanted to get the flicker down to get behind, and on top of that, Erwin, he wanted to capitalize, but he just couldn't.
It's very difficult to beat Erwin in this game, actually, because this is like a second pick Grok. And you can see RSG Singapore, they have so many answers to that. Even just the presence of the Lilia as well as the Beatrix make it so difficult for Erwin to initiate with the Wild Charge without the flickers. That's really what happened in there too.
That's right, 10 seconds. It's going to be the Lord spawning very, very soon right now. S11 is actually mostly doing the fight in RSG side of the map. But wait, here comes the Death Sonata.
Lolzy's got to be careful here. That's a lot of damage being placed onto him. That's the Roamer though. That's a big ultimate burnt down. 1 for 0. Jotun almost just bursting 505 down. Baby Cakes looking for a snipe, but S11 right now, 3.3k gold lead. They're on the Lord with a one-man advantage.
Erwin locking away Bray, not even allowing him to step into the Lord pit. He could just go in and try to take the steal, but the RSG decides to give it up over to S11, and this is looking very bad.
A wonderful Lord dance that was choreographed by S11. You might not have noticed it, but it was actually Papa Dog going for the longer lane. So the top lane is called the long lane when the Lord is on the bottom lane. And that is how they managed to disperse RSG Singapore. RSG had to think about their lane up top and also the Lord. Well, S11, that's the reason why they committed the real-world manipulation outside of the Lord, because they know that if they fend off RSG Singapore, if they poke RSG Singapore, RSG will not have any shot at taking the Lord.
That's right, if you noticed earlier right now, if you take a look, it's damage dealt mostly by Chan with the real-world manipulation, right? And not only just that, S11 is also sending this Lord all the way down top. It is very vulnerable. RSG technically do have, you know, the Beatrix, the Bandit's Rage with the bombs as well should be able to help to clear out the wave. However, RSG, they need to make a play. It's all up to Lolzy to be able to pick up the right targets at the right time, like how he did in the early parts of the game.
That's the siege coming down as S11 finds the base turret. Bray gonna be zoned away. Lolzy trying his best to look for that Jikundo, but it's gonna be punished in the end. That's a flicker forward. Kai almost finding the kill out of Bray, who's still gonna be able to get out. Kai dealing a whole lot of damage to 505. His Baby Cakes here is not gonna be able to defend the mid lane turret. Erwin flickers forward, finds the wild charge, and that's the Petrify to follow through. But in the back line as well, RSG are going to be able to find the 2 marksmen from S11. Erwin going to fall to the decimation as that's going to be Bray picking up a triple kill. They're looking for the Maniac. Bray is walking them down. Papadog and Chan able to get out with the utilities. Lolzy jumps in, not able to find the Jikundo. Chan still just kiting back, dealing damage. Lolzy forced them back away. RSG have won, but they lost 3 base turrets.
It's a very expensive loss, Wolf. RSG, that was a good defense, but they need more. You saw how hard it is for Lolzy to just step forward, and you saw how confident Kai is on this Brody. I think this is like a hidden ace in the sleeve.
Yeah. And Baby Cakes just survived long enough. After the initiation coming out from Erwin, there's some hesitation coming out from S11, but imagine if they chain together their Benedetta, Purify, and Electro Final Blow with the Wild Charge, and of course the Real World Manipulation, there will be no chance for Baby Cakes to survive. He did survive because of the Wind of Nature, and because of the fact that he got out of the Real World Manipulation, but it would have been the death of RSG Singapore had it not been that Baby Cakes was able to survive. And S11, surely they are executing properly, but they need to be more coordinated in those pushes. Still, RSG Singapore on the back foot.
That's the Petrify, that's Papadog getting out. That's the damage coming through from Kai. He's
Oh
going to
my
be able to
goodness.
actually dish him down. Both Baby Cakes and Lolzy falls down. Diablo trying to find the saving grace here, but Kai's going to be able to stun him up.
no.
The Petrify will not be able to save him. Diablo gets the immortality in time, but now in a 3v1, it is Chan who picks up a triple. 505 going to be sandwiched here by both Jolton and Erwin. That's 505 still cutting away. Jolton going to be caught low. 505 versus the world, and it's a maniac for Chan. S11, the Argentinians are looking for the end.
Chan, the real world manipulation is so crazy, and it just does Bray left, and they're gonna have to try to fight this.
Torn apart memory by Kai to zone him away. S11 strike first in the lower brackets in a best of 3 up against the Singaporean champions.
GG well play over to S11. The Argentinian fans must be cheering. Even though everyone was voting against them, they showed us,
Cast their curse.
oh, we are wrong.
What a great maneuver coming out from S11. It all started with Papadog just baiting them out, so they formed a circle. It's an outer circle versus inner circle thing, where the outer circle is S11. They invited the inner circle, which was RSG Singapore, inside their own territory, then took them out one by one. The phalanx of Argentina was so good, and the maneuver allowed them to take the full team wipe.
S11, what they did in this game was just punish, right? They continuously just punished RSG SG right now. And as you can see, RSG SG, it feels like, we mentioned this in the draft, they had a more multi-dimensional draft, right? Where they could actually dive, they could front to back, and they could also just play it sieging down the turrets. But they did not do that. Instead, they just went for fights, and they followed Lolzy into a lot of these crazy engages that just did not work out for them.
Yeah, I just feel like, S11, man, that was a really good game.
Yeah.
Beating down RSG Singapore, but of course, we gotta talk about M4 Battle Night that's going live this January 21st. Expect loads of events and rewards up for grabs in-game. So what do you have to do? First off, complete battle tasks in-game on January 21st to get a skin choice chest. You can choose the skin that you like from the chest, and the best part is there's a Stellaris Ghost skin. And aside from that, battle bonus awaits you on the same day. Play the matches and you'll get a team star protection for 3 matches, double star raising points, double the protection points, double the XP, and double the BP for 5 matches. And of course, we're not stopping here. Free access to every single heroes in the Land of Dawn, and loads of epic skins will be available on that very same day. So save that day, log in to the game on January 21st, enjoy the match with tons of rewards. Let's all celebrate and for a championship together, including with your friends.
I just can't get over the fact that there was the chemistry coming out from S11 is really showing up this game. There were times that there was a little bit of a blunder. There were mistakes made for sure, but when they win the fights, they look really good.
They look really good as well, but who else is looking very good as well is going to be our analyst, Dave, Leo, Gideon. Take us through the draft.
Uno más, mi amigos. Uno más for S11. Welcome to the analyst stand. At your service, my name is Leo, joined there by my amigos. This is Dave, and that's Gideon. Let's first talk about the draft. RSG SG looked solid to start, but S11 seems to have found a way to make the double marksman lineup work.
honestly, the Super League has really impressed me so far, and especially the talents that's coming out of the Latam region. They continue to progressively get good. But this particular draft was interesting because when we look at it, my goodness, it is just ult, and then the Eve, it's just every single movement you think you can get ahead, you just can't. You can't leave that real world manipulation without dying.
Yeah, absolutely. We talk about how synergized this ultimate, how deadly it can be if they used in synchronization, and that's exactly what S11 did. It seems like in game one, they are the team that's more open, more brave to do what they plan to do. Whereas if you look at RSG Singapore, they started off very strong, but they're kind of nervous through the mid-game and lost the grasp of how to engage and how to follow up as a team.
But if you're going to look at the in-game stats, it's a little closer to call, right? There have been definite moments where RSG was in control. I'm talking early game, a little bit of that mid-game. But when it came to late game, again, you see the difference maker that these two marksmen have when it comes to taking objectives, especially if they're for free. S11 Gaming is in it.
They are. They're in it to win it for sure. They know that this is tournament live, so they're playing even harder than before. Just notice the positioning of specifically Kai and Jotun. Because if we're talking about Papa Dog, he's doing his own thing, but Kai and Jotun have to work in tandem with each other, especially against RSG like that. Yutong could have been the game breaker for them.
Yeah, absolutely. But sometimes when Diablo trying to go for the backline, he have to go really far to reach the Granger and Brody. Whereas for Benedetta by Papa Dog, it seemed like it's within the reach. Every time he ults, it just reach out the backline, and Baby Cake's always in trouble. And that is something that for RSG going to game two, they have to figure out a way how to play more backwards, how to focus on one target at a time instead of chasing all different targets at the same time.
Yep, and there was a lot on the back of one of the older brothers for RSGSG. I'm talking about Lolzy. He could find some angles on that show. He took a lot of damage, peeled as a tank, as a roamer, but in the end, again, when it comes to firepower, most likely he just ended up dying after those engages. Again, I think that's what Dave was trying to get at when it comes to the RSG, front to back, back to front. Like, how do you reset from there?
I think it comes down to the heroes that you have selection to. The Cho versus the Grok. I think, you know, if we're talking about the muscle, physically, Lolzy looks big, but Erwin is even bigger here. The supermodel himself is able to kind of get that information, open up that space before taking him out.
No, what I see mostly in the mid-game when I see from RSG is that they need to shake away the nervousness and really just go for it and wait for the team and get ready.
Yep, given the fact that they're not complete here in the stadium, it is what it is. But again, competition is going to continue. The show must go on. If there is one player we are going to highlight, it's the MVP. We're going to be awarding that very soon. I have just my eyes on the man Chan. Like, it's no doubt, right? The box that the Eve puts up, it's gotta be the Eve that helps set it up, because again, you mentioned how Diablo can actually find their targets, and you mentioned the Brody and the Granger. But what about the Eve though? What about the Eve?
Yep.
Personally, I'm hoping that it's Papa Dog, but we're gonna be seeing very shortly who it's going to be. S11, come on, give me that prediction right.
Is it going to be Papa Dog or Chan?
Maybe Irvin.
Maybe Erwin?
Chan. Okay.
All right, so you didn't get your prediction right, Gideon, but talk us through exactly what Chan brought to the table.
Look, this entire composition is dedicated around this real-world manipulation and maximizing its impact. The fact is, as soon as he gets that Ice Queen's wand, it makes it so difficult to walk out of it naturally, but add the ultimates coming in. The Grok ultimate, the Granger ultimate, and not to mention, even though, hell, maybe it's just one person, Kai can just do all the work. Just lock down one person, and that's all you need.
And one thing I do want to talk about here with this E pick is not first picked actually in the draft. It was actually in the second rotation of the first round of draft, which is quite interesting because for RSG, in their screaming phase, they actually had a not so great of a win rate with Eve, so they're kind of shy of picking this character out. But you cannot deny how strong this character is. The amount of utility the slow can offer to the entire game is absolutely insane. Here we're taking a look at a heat map of the MVP for game one.
Yep, again, as a mid laner, the Eve is going to start there. But you see how important Chan is to the game plan of S11. RSG, this is, I think, the stride for them, right? I think there was a successful invade in the first rotation for the purple buff, but that didn't shake Chan, that didn't shake S11.
Absolutely, because let's remember that the jungle isn't supposed to be that hyper carry that we want to. And if we're looking at the heat map, this is the first 5 minutes, right? Look at how hyper defensively Chan is playing. He never really touches the river. And even though first turtle is up, he doesn't need to be there. His ultimate, this artillery mage, still bombarding from afar.
See, what's interesting is you can see how defensive it plays. That also is attributed because of how aggressive RSG was early game. You know, you saw the really smart invade strategy with Lozy distracting the jungler, the support, the mage. Meanwhile, on the other side, we have the Martis invading the blue buff in the early game. Unfortunately, they were not able to open up the lead. I really like the first turtle, how RSG really play really disciplined with Diablo, the mage, Lilia, to zone away the jungler, the Grandeur, but they're not able to carry through that advantage going further into the game. Coming down to game 2, it's all about confidence. That word for RSG, right? Can they really just stick to the discipline, stick to the principles, and really win the game?
And that's something interesting to say because RSG, SG, the more, I'd say, veteran team here going into this matchup. And S11, yes, they are Latam Super League champions, but it's their first time on the world stage. So there has to be some nerves, but it might be that same nerves that just is like an animal put up against a corner. It fights for its life.
Absolutely, and I think, you know, when we're talking about S11, right, and especially just how they are bred, the genes in them, some of them looking like absolute supermodels, like I got lost in Chan's eyes there for a moment, but hopefully it continues on.
Let's go ahead and throw it back to our casters, Jays, Wolf, and Mirko. Throw us back into game number 2.
Thank you very much, Dave, Leo, and Gideon. Wow, look at me in the eyes. Say that you love me. I guess that's what Chan basically mesmerizing